don't look like what you think they look like.
No, for sure.
Most real gangsters wear a suit and a tie.
Yeah, for sure.
You see what I mean? So never get it twisted. Some of the most severe men in life, you could be standing next to them and never understand who they are. Because I stand next to people all the time, and if they don't know me, they don't even know that this little short guy is this powerful man that everybody's talking about. People, hey man, I thought you was like 6 feet tall, and I would never known you was Fooney because you're so humble. You're sweeping up the club with a broom,
Yeah, for sure.
You're sweeping up your clubhouse with a broom. You got all these members around, but that's just to show that no one is bigger than the situation, and you're still a human. I don't care what status you get or how much money you get. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and people who want to live that gangster life, they trying to find something.
Yes.
They're trying to find something, brother. They're trying to find something.
And they get frustrated when others have found it before them. Right. I heard somebody in an interview. It might have been Rod Campbell's interview with the Mechanics, and the Mechanics was saying they were talking about like this whole sense of like haterism and all that kind of stuff, and it might have been Dot who said, let's not forget that like the term player hater comes out of the town, right? Like there's a lot of haters, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of jealous, envious folks and be mad at you for like no reason. But I'm going to go back before we push because that's going to open up a whole nother lane. But just to close out the thing with the opportunities we had in the courtroom, right? Because the brother that was before us, right, to open the door for me, right, the guy Clayton, which I don't really have no problems with him, but I'm going to speak on the facts. Him not embracing the opportunity wholehearted and kind of wanting to do it more just his way almost messed it up for me and you, right? Because they had to move him out the equation. I mean, he had a conversation that was so conflicting with the judge where the judge was like, you know what? I'll just go back to doing what I was doing. I just happened to be, you know what I mean, the next one up at the time. I'm like, hold up. Like, that don't necessarily represent how everybody else feels, because I knew there was something powerful when the Superior Court judge asked me in this situation, what do I think about you, Fooney, in terms of letting you out of custody? And I give the nod that says, it's good. I talked to him. He can carry the torch, and he releases you on that word.
It's powerful.
I mean, how
in the court system, in this court system,
while I'm on probation, right? I'm on probation in this program, right? Advising for other folks to get out, and then to take advantage of that.
Hey, Judge Goodman is gangster.
Oh, he's gangster, right? Because I said that before. Like, when I think about my emotional intelligence journey and reference points of where it was a factor in my life. Like, I start off in the book saying, from a professional standpoint, like how does this judge, right, who is not from our community, right? People come in front of him every single day, running game. How was he able to see? And I'm actually running game too, right? Because what he said I did, I'm in there talking about I ain't do it. And he like, nah, I know you did it, but we ain't even talk about that. That was really the conversation. He like, we're not going to even debate whether you did it or not. We know you did that. But what I'm
the alleged victim was sitting between me and
which is kind of gangster too, right? But he's like, let's talk about like where you could be going with this. Having 2 stores at a young age, a house, you got these people every time you come to court, you got this crowd of people here that's supporting you. He's like, this is not what I see every day, which means there's potential there for you. So I want to focus on where you could be going, not where you at now and what's behind you. And to me, that was dope. That's emotional intelligence.
Yes,
we judge people for way less.
And in this environment too, and not to bring this in because you guys would take on this point too. Like, and this is a Fox News watching, Donald Trump supporting, believing those views. But that's just my point in saying that is, like, we have to sometimes look beyond what we think the surface is.
Yes.
Because he was able to do that.
Well, you know why he was able to do that? if you look at the history of Judge Goodman, he was one of the only judges at that time was giving out 5, 6s, and 7s. It was like no one wanted to go. Like it's like when you was in jail. It's like we had lawyers and everything. Moraine Collins. Me, AL, all of us. But we still was terrified that you got Judge Goodman. Oh man, it's over. It ain't that. So guess what? We were the redemption for Judge Goodman, me and you, because people didn't think that. People didn't think Judge Goodman had a heart. They thought he was just all about, he gonna give every black man all his time. He gonna do this, and that. No, we were the redemption for him to let people see that. No, it wasn't about him washing everybody. We just had ourselves in position enough where he can give us some action. All the other dudes didn't have themselves in no position to give them some action. So guess what? Why would I let you back out there to go be the same person you gonna be? Because they know you running game. They know 9 times out of 10, most of us is guilty for the stuff that we come across. Or I would say, let me take that back. Let me say 7 times out of 10, because it is some cases where people get the wrong justice. I'm not gonna put it up there that high. But because you had set a platform for yourself with Never Worry, and I did with Breaking Bread, see, we had already separated ourselves from just trying to be an average street dude. We had already had goals, and God had a plan that was bigger than us. Right. So once Goodman seen that little bit that he needed, it was enough to let people know he's not just about giving out time. Because guess what? He took 2 of Oakland's youngest, most popular dudes and gave us redemption. Look where we is now today. Sir. I just said this at Tammy's thing. Ain't no Tammy. They said Tammy been doing the work for 10 years. I'm like, nah, that's not true. Right. Tammy been doing the work. Let me speak the truth to power. Tammy been doing the work for over 20-something years. Because I was 19 years old in the Underground Railroad. You had to be about 20, 21. So, and we in 2018. That was 1996. How she only get 10-year anniversary? Right. She got a 10-year anniversary with y'all. Right. But Tammy been doing the work. Ken Wilson, he was in the program with us, the Underground Railroad. So. And Ken didn't get what we got. He got some love, but he didn't get what we got. We got what we got because we applied the energy to doing something better in our community and for ourselves, getting out there and selling them T-shirts. That took a lot of energy.
Yeah, for sure.
For us to go corner to corner. Before you had the store, you was out the trunk, corner to corner, block and block. You motivated me, which later on, like I spoke in one of my other speeches that I gave, I feel like we made a way for the Beast Mode clothing. Sure. What Mr. Fab is doing down there at the Old Hat Guys, the Dope Era, the Jess Hogan with Lester Washington, them, Oaks to Damn, man, all these clothing lines, because it was Blunt Object, Oak Bay, Never Worry, Breaking Bread, Big Pimpin'. It was only 5 independent clothing lines that was coming up out of this. Come on, man.
It's a real story.
Let me speak the truth to power, because one thing about
you
us.
The first one to have you was the first one to have a store in Oakland.
I told Mr. Fab that.
Think about what DB was the very first one.
Right on Foothill.
And I'll never forget, I walked in there too with my young marketing mind thinking like, man, how are you only selling one brand in here? Hey, a young genius before his time. But I was telling Mr. Fab about that when he had his little store on 45th, about how you was doing your thing, and in your era, it was different. You ended up actually losing more money having a store than making more money, because we came from an era when everybody hung out. So it was more convenient for you to hit a corner and make $200-$300 on one spot. You know what I mean? Unlike now in the era where he in, people don't hang out no more. Right. We used to have 100 people on a block, 50 people on a block. Plus there's reach, social media. Like he's got people coming from Stockton and
well, there's no blocks no more. If you listen to what I'm saying,
no, that's exactly no.
We would start from 100 and take it all the way back to West Oakland. By the time I was done, I'd make $2,500 selling T-shirts, brother.
All day.
We was coming up right at the time with FUBU when they was launching it. If we would have stayed with our brands, me and DB, then we probably would be in Macy's and all the big catalogs, just like FUBU them. We just didn't have the backers and investors like they had.
Or the clear vision, right?
Yeah.
Because we had the idea.
You had the hustle.
The path wasn't clear, and it just needed a little bit more more experience, but it's landed right where it was supposed to, because when you said earlier about God having a bigger plan, we didn't really know at the time that service work.
Yes.
We wasn't clothing guys, right? It was more about service, which is my enlightening that I had, and it's just really a few years ago, right? So even going back to work for the Hall in like 2001, so back in the late 90s, so what got Goodman to push the needle with me, he was like, look, you need to take this game that you got and give it to the cats that's coming behind you, and I'm going to show you how to work that magic, so to speak, be a project coordinator. All these terminologies I never heard, and even at that time, I just received it at first like, this is a good look. This is going to help me get off probation earlier, and that was the motivation. But after 3 or 4 conversations with the homies, and they're taking in what's being said and applying it, and then coming back and sharing their success, I knew that I had a gift.
Yes,
and from there, I've been on a gift ever since. Then I want to talk about what Cuzzo brought up, about the noise, the background noise that come in the streets when you're making changes. Because I hear all the background noise, right? When I first became a peace officer, right, it was DB's the police, right?
Oh, you just in my head. Get out my head.
It was DB the police, and it was interesting. And so when we talk about the emotional intelligence that's associated with that, it's like, imagine what it took for me not to respond to none of that. I had to get my Jay-Z on. Like, they take shots with no response, but what was my feelings hurt? Absolutely. Because not only was it coming from people outside of my circle, it was coming from within the circle. But back to what we're saying, that people be jealous and they don't know how to communicate. So it's easy to go and try to find flaws and be like, oh, he think he is. I remember when he was that, and blah, blah, blah. And so for years, even today, people still have unnecessary things to speak on about me and my platform, and I don't bother nobody, right? And here's the thing that I want to bring up that's important, and I want you to keep this in mind as well, because in '96, when I lost my temper and laid that cat down, it came from a buildup, right? I had paid him to do some work on my roof. He didn't do it in its entirety, right? He did most of it. Weeks and weeks went by. I gave him a pass. I gave him a pass. I gave him a pass. And then I didn't. And sometimes because we give passes, because we be cool and we trying to be on this platform, there becomes a breaking point. You tell yourself, you know what? I'm tired of, I'm going to let people know, or I'm going to let this person know because I've been cool for so long. And you and I have to be mindful of that time bomb, right? That could be happening because, sometimes you can get frustrated about having events and you get tired of people coming with that low frequency stuff, and we're just trying to have a good time. And if you don't recenter yourself every day, like you said, and pray every day and be ready to navigate through negative situations, the next time that happens, you could be like, you know what? I'm tired of, and go all off, be disrespectful, drag somebody out, and then guess what? It will not be about that situation. It'll be all about you. And so that's what I learned in that situation. So when I hear the low frequency background noise about who people think I should be, what they feel about me, what they think about happening with me with my career, all that kind of stuff, I do my very best not to put it into my spirit, because I don't ever want to feel like I gotta have a defining moment, right? When I could just keep elevating at a higher frequency. And most people on a day-to-day basis fall into that trap, that catch-22, whether it's at work, whether it's in their relationship, whether it's with their kids. They let this build-up sneak up on them, and then they snap. And then they only find out that they spend the next however long trying to do damage control. It's just like even with spending money. And all this is emotionally charged, right?
Yes.
You feel a certain kind of way, you go splurge, and now you got to worry about your credit or try to make that back up for the next X, Y, and Z. You said earlier about food and what you eat. People get depressed. People start feeling a certain kind of way. They go eat. They look up. They picked up a few more pounds. They get more depressed. They eat more. And they're in this vicious cycle because they were unable to separate their emotions from facts. So it's a very good, healthy conversation, man. It's a lot of gems and what we're discussing here, dog.
Well, this is what you got to look at, too, like about the roof situation. at that moment in time of your life, I was handling things like that too, because when you grew up in the community that we come up in, that's what we were raised. That's what we was taught, that you don't let a person do you like that.
Yeah.
So you